Hi friends, I hope all is well. I appreciate the positive comments on my first art prompts video. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll link it in the description box below. I go over this series in more detail, along with creating a collage using the first art prompt. Let's go ahead and pick the new prompt for this video. I'll be creating a found ephemera collage in a board book sketchbook, so let's get started. I chose this page in the board book because it's a dark value. As you can see, most of the found ephemera I have is a light to mid-tone. I want to make sure the collage has all three values represented, so that's why I chose this page. I also chose to use Mod Podge instead of a glue stick because this heavyweight page will accept liquid medium without warping. I like putting some in a plastic cup. It prevents the glue in the jar from drying out and getting contaminated if there's something on the brush I use to apply the glue. One of my go-to design styles is geometric. I tend to use elements that are square and rectangle, along with simplified dome and bridge shapes. Of course, there are other geometric shapes, but these are ones that I gravitate towards. Once you find shapes that you like using, it helps with the creative process. I made the decision to use this large pink paper to cover most of the text on the page. I left the two words rest and best at this point because I wasn't sure if I would incorporate them into the design. When I use ephemera with text, I usually place it either upside down or sideways so it's not easy to read. If the text is on the page of an altered sketchbook, then I usually leave it as is. I change this practice later in the collage. We'll talk more about it at that time. The placement of these three papers may look haphazard, but I'm looking at the dark value page and thinking what areas I want to cover and what areas I want to keep, like the white text or the area at the bottom that's mostly dark yellowish brown. The bright green will contrast with this area. Also, this page color takes up a good portion of the bottom area, so covering some of it leaves enough of it showing. I'm adding this green dome shape on top of the pink square for value contrast. The pink is a light value and the green dome shape is a mid-tone. It also ties in with the green rectangle along the bottom, which adds color balance. You may have noticed that I have a lot of lottery type found ephemera that I'm using in this collage. Lately, I've been finding this type of ephemera and basic white paper with text. I prefer to use ephemera that has some sort of color, which is why I pulled a lot of lottery ephemera. I have pulled white paper with text as well for its light value. I'm sizing down the dome shapes that are being added on top of the green rectangle. Along with value contrast and color balance, adding the same shape in different sizes is a good design principle. It's visually pleasing to me when the placement of the shapes are unbalanced. Instead of placing the yellow domes on either side of the pink dome, I'm placing them next to each other. Also, each of the three dome shapes have a slightly different shape, which adds interest to the design. A benefit of cutting dome and bridge shapes from the same paper is that you can use both in the collage. It's another way to unify the elements. Also, this green bridge shape happens to fit perfectly in the upper right corner. This area has a mid-tone value, which is the green bridge shape, and dark value, which is the original page. To add more contrast, I chose a light value paper for the small dome shape. Now there are two light value elements directly next to each other. To break up this area, I'm adding an element using this purple section of the lottery scratcher. I chose this mid-tone value ephemera instead of a dark value because I wanted the existing dark value arc shape to be prominent. This dome shape is a bit elongated to fit into the rectangle shape ephemera. Besides changing the size of similar shapes, consider slightly changing the length and width of the shape. This will add visual interest to the design. I like the dark value arch that was created in the upper right corner by adding a smaller dome shape within the bridge shape. I want to repeat that shape again, so I'm cutting this lottery ticket into a bridge shape for this area in the lower right. Earlier I mentioned that I usually place ephemera with the text upside down or sideways so it isn't easy to read. This piece of ephemera is one that I changed that practice. Sorry is such a powerful word that I wanted to leave it in the upright position so it's easy to read. This is something to think about when you're using ephemera with words. If you want to add impact to your collage with a meaningful word or two, keep it upright so it's easy to read. At this point, I'll add music as you watch me finish this found ephemera collage. I'll come back to discuss the finished collage and wrap up the video. Here's the found ephemera geometric collage for Art Prompt 2. The dark purple and yellowish brown on the board book page has been incorporated into the collage to be seen as elements, not a page in a book. If you have a book that's more colorful or has more defined images or text, then these areas could elevate the design even more. The grayscale version shows the strong value contrast between light and dark values. As I mentioned in the previous video for the first art prompt, I wanted to see if you find these videos helpful and enjoyable. I'm leaning towards making one more video this month for the third art prompt, then take a break for this series for a while and work on other types of videos, but I want to know your thoughts. That wraps up this video for the second art prompt. Thanks for watching. Take care.